Good morning, Earl Haig. How are you guys doing today? That's a little better than earlier, but I said, how y'all doing today? That's what I like to hear. My name is Bree, and I'm here on behalf of an organization called Free the Children, the world's largest network of children helping children through education. Now, how many people have heard of Free the Children? All right, we have an okay amount. So I'm going to let you guys know a little secret about Free the Children. Free the Children started by a 12-year-old boy named Craig Kielberger. Hands up if you know Craig Kielberger? Beautiful, you make my job so easy. Okay, so 16 years ago, Craig woke up one morning to get ready for school, and he went down to have his bowl of cereal and read the comics. But when he went downstairs, before he could get to the comics, this headline caught his attention. Battled child labor, boy 12 murdered. Murdered? Craig was shocked and he was confused. He didn't understand how a 12-year-old boy just like him could have such a different lifestyle. Because you see, the article that he read was about a 12-year-old boy named Iqbal Masih from Pakistan. And when Iqbal was just 4 years old, he was forced to work at a carpet factory to pay off a loan that his parents owed of just $16. And when Iqbal was 10 years old, he escaped the carpet factory and he began traveling the world to tell everybody about child labor. And when he was doing this, carpet sales went down because nobody wanted to buy a carpet made by a kid. At 12 years old, Iqbal went back to Pakistan, and when he was home, he was shot and killed for speaking out against child labor. And when Craig read this story, he got angry. He wanted to know what he could do to make a difference because he didn't understand why kids are working around the world. Why aren't they in school? So he tore the article out of the paper, he went to school that day, and he asked his teacher for 5 minutes of class time. There he told his friends this story, and he said, I don't know much about this issue, but I want to learn more. I thought maybe we could start a club. Who wants to join me? And 11 hands went in the air, and on that day, Free the Children was born. So that's a little background as to what Free the Children is. And today we're still helping to impact youth around the world. And many of us that work for Free the Children do so because we've had our own stories. We've had our own instances that have touched our lives and have made us realize the importance of a child's education. One of those people is my dear friend Amber. Amber's another one of the outreach speakers for Free the Children. And when she was telling me this story about how when she lived in Ecuador for 8 months, she worked at a juvenile home for girls. And while she was working in this home, it was a rather scary job because a lot of these girls got into a lot of trouble, and they were very violent, and they were dangerous. But mostly they just needed somebody there. And so Amber worked with the social workers to try to open these girls up and to get them to realize their full potential. And so one day they had them do this activity. And they gave them a piece of paper, and they said, on this paper, draw your biggest hope. So while most of the girls crumpled up the paper, threw it at each other, goofed around, this one girl, Natalia, sat there and she scribbled really, really hard. She was drawing the entire time. And when she finished, Amber went over to her and she said, Natalia, you were working so hard. What were you drawing? And Natalia held up a piece of paper, and on it was all that was drawn was a high school diploma. And if that didn't break Amber's heart enough, all the other girls started laughing at her. But not to be cruel, just because where they're from, the idea of a girl in that home in Ecuador getting a high school diploma was unheard of. And so the one thing that my friends Craig and Amber have in common is they both realize the importance of education for children around the world. And so what Craig did was he started this program within Free the Children called Adopt a Village. And he realized when he was traveling the world, he was asking child laborers at just 12 years old, Craig started traveling the world, to see child laborers. And he started asking them, what is it that you want? And every single one of them, without hesitation, said an education. And when he was seeing schools like this in China, that had a beam holding up the ceiling and broken walls, he decided that wasn't a fit education. So he came back and he asked all his friends to help him fundraise to build nicer schools in countries like China that don't have beams holding up the walls. For instance, you guys are fundraising to build a school right now in Sierra Leone. A few years back, there was a really bad civil war in Sierra Leone, and rebel soldiers burned down all of the schools and executed the teachers. So you guys are helping to rebuild these schools so these kids can get an education. When Craig and his friends went back to check it out, they noticed that all the girls were missing. Can all the girls raise their hands, please? Just the girls. And look around. If you were in a country like Kenya right now, hands down, thank you, you would not be in school right now. And when Craig and his friends asked the teachers why, they said it's a girl's job to get water for her family. And that could mean going to the river 1, 2, 3 times a day. The river could be an hour, 2 hours away. So Craig and his friends raised money to start building wells right next to schools. So girls can go to school and get an education and then bring clean water back. And when they went back, they noticed there were still kids missing. And now, so our next pillar of Adopt a Village covers alternative income, because we found out that a lot of kids were working. Their parents couldn't afford to send them to school, so they had to work. And that could mean working in a carpet factory like our friend Iqbal, or working in a clothing factory to make our Nike apparel. The reality was a lot of these kids worked. So we implement alternative income, which is a way for women to make money for their families so kids don't have to work. And that could be loans in Sierra Leone and Sri Lanka. Or for instance, in Kenya, the women do beading, so they make these Rafiki beads. My friend Rach on the Midawee team is wearing hers around her neck today, if you like them, ask her about them. And now women can make money. So we went back to these schools to check them out, and we saw there were still kids missing. And we learned that a lot of these kids have never seen a doctor in their life, so we realized we needed to address healthcare. And so Craig and his friends raised money, and they started building centers in Sierra Leone to help epilepsy patients. Epilepsy is a neurological disease that causes you to have seizures, and it's really, really prevalent in Sierra Leone. It's the second time that happened. Awkward. So, a lot of kids have epilepsy. And when these kids in Sierra Leone have epilepsy, they view it as a possession, and so a lot of them are ridiculed. So we build these centers in Sierra Leone so kids and their families can go get the health care that they need. Or we also have mobile clinics in countries like Kenya that travel from community to community, giving kids and their family the health care they need. The cool thing about our Adopt a Village program is that it's funded by youth, and you get to choose the country and pillar you want. So you've already chosen education in Sierra Leone. And you've already heard why education is so important around the world, and why how many kids don't get the opportunity to go to school. And so I also come here on behalf of an organization called Me to We. You heard a little bit about it from your Me to We club, and I'm sure most of you, how many of you heard of Me to We? Beautiful. Okay. So as you know, Me to We is the idea of transforming our minds from the me sense to the we sense, to caring about our global community and acting as global citizens. And you can do this in so many ways. The first way that you could do this is appreciating the classroom that you're in every day. Understanding, realizing, and appreciating that you're part of an elite group of people in the world that get to go to school. Another way you can do it is to shop responsibly. This is just a picture of our store. For instance, you can shop if you shop Me to We, great. We have water bottles, so you can use reusable water bottles so you're not using plastic all the time. Or socially responsible clothes like the shirt that I'm wearing. Or the beadwork. Or you can go to websites like responsibleshopper.com, and you can find all of these brands that you follow, and you can see what their ethical standards are. But if you want to take it past shopping, we have this really cool summer camp called the Take Action Academy. And it's a week where you learn about social justice issues, you learn about being a better global citizen, and then you learn leadership skills to take these things you've learned back to your school, and you're fully equipped in September to go and to start changing the world. And so we have everybody on Free the Children, myself, everybody on the youth team. I want to say a huge thank you for all you're doing to fundraise for school in Sierra Leone. Education is so important, and I can tell that you guys are learning that step by step. And how many of you are going to go into your classroom today and appreciate the classroom? I expect to see every single hand in the air, please. Every single hand in the air, please. Appreciate your classroom.